Hi, this is U-Bar U-Works LLC. Welcome back to our channel. And if you're brand new, thanks for finding us. So I wanted to talk to y'all a little bit today about our newest custom, this 20-inch clock. I already made this video once and didn't hit the record button, so I hope this goes a little bit better this time. We'll see. Me and technology don't exactly get along. So this clock, it was a big one. This is made out of a wine barrel top. This is the lid to the wine barrel. All the purple that you'll see is staining from the wine that was sitting in the barrel. On the back of it, which I'll go through really quickly first, you can see where it's set there, and while it was sitting on its shelf, that wine just leaked out and it stained the front of the oak right here. I love it. I think it looks really cool. So this would have been the top, the outside of the wine barrel. We're using it as the back of our project because the client was really in love with the purple staining on the front. So this is oak. It's about an inch thick finished out. Everything is sanded down to 320, sanded by hand. You can see that it's quarter sawn oak. It's also called tiger oak because it has all this beautiful, beautiful just tiger striping in it. Get you a good view of that. It's a really pretty piece of wood, and I really enjoy working with it. This is a quartz movement that I found at bearwoods.com. I think they're out of Canada. I could not really find one that I really loved anywhere here, and they had a really good selection. And for a newbie like me that's never worked with clock movements before, they had a lot of good information, and I just wanted to support them in that mission that they have. It is almost silent. Like I can watch it just click into place, and it's almost silent, which is really great because you don't want to hear that ticking in the background, or a lot of people don't like to hear that. So it's a AA powered clock. They do go as small as AAAs, or you can get plug-ins, but because this is what they call a high torque movement, it's much larger hands. They require a little bit more power, and so this one is the AA. Through Bearwoods, we also got this is a French cleat style hanger. It's all aluminum. It'll hold up to 50 pounds. So this is an apartment style hanger. I'm not sure where the recipient is going to hang this, but it will work in plaster. It will work in studs. It comes with the nails you need to put it in, and even without it being in a stud, it will hold up to 50 pounds. So this clock will stay up on the wall for years. It'll hold it nice and level. The attachment hardware that we're sending with it has a little bubble level included in it, so all they have to do is put it at the height they want it, and then move it to its level, and then put that nail in, and it'll be easy. It'll be easy, quick hang, and it will come on and off the wall very easily with that French cleat every time the battery needs to be changed. Love it. We also put in these little rubber feet as bumpers, so that when it hangs on the wall, it's not facing down. It gets a nice, level, solid hang, and it's not going to wobble back and forth or up and down. It's just going to be where it needs to be, and that is awesome. Okay. Turning it to the side here, you can see exactly how thick the wood is. You can see the tongue and groove that's on the side. This is how they put wine barrels together. They don't use glue. They use tongue and groove, and then on the inside they have wooden dowels. They rely on the swelling from the moisture of the wine to keep those together. It allows the wood to expand and contract and allows it to breathe, which is what wine needs. It doesn't need to be completely sealed. Unfortunately for us, that means that whenever we get this, we have to take it completely apart and then put it completely back together. You have less gapping on this side because it would have been the top, so it's much smoother finish. You have a little bit more gapping on this side because it was intended to be the bottom, and we're using that as outside. And this is kind of a rustic piece. Our client wanted it to be kind of rustic, so that actually fits in with the overall look of the piece. You can see exactly how deep this wine staining went. It's all the way to here that went through. You're looking at, wow, almost a ½ inch of staining just from the wine soaking into it. So that was pretty cool. Whenever this piece gets heated up through sanding or through wood burning, you can actually smell the wine coming off of it. And here is the front. Like I said, it is approximately 20 inches around. We did, once we got it all put together, we did have to, we put a tiny, tiny hole right in the center, and I used our router to make sure that it was perfectly round so that, you know, it would, you know, look like a clock for one, and be a little easier for us to work with. So that is nice and smooth. Everything is sanded down to 320 by hand, front and back. These hands on the clock, let me talk about these hands for a second. These hands also came from bearwoods.com. I spent an inordinate amount of time looking for hands that were 8 inches long. Now, this is the only set of hands I found on the internet. I'm not going to say it's the only set in the world, but it is the only set that I could find that was 8 inches long. They're a very pretty set of hands, but I will show you. This is this back here. This is my customs board. When I get a custom, it goes up here. The order goes up here. I'll show you the picture that the client sent me of what she wanted. And if you look really close, you can see that is the exact set of hands that I ended up with. That leads me to think this might be the only set of hands in the world that's 8 inches long. I could have saved myself a lot of work if I'd have just looked for those hands in the first place. All right. That picture is what the client, excuse me, that picture is what the client sent me. She wanted the slats set on a diagonal. So I could not use the slats to help me line up things on this, because, you know, why would I want things to be easy? So instead, what I did, so I got my design. I found a clock outline on the internet that I liked. Put that in my Word on my computer, and I would draw pieces like the little hash marks here, and then I would bring them over to the Word sheet that I was working on and place them and rotate them till I had them where I wanted. I also found a font that I thought fairly closely matched the font on the picture she sent me for these numbers, the 12, the 3, and the 9 over here. Blew those up to a good size, moved them over, and then tweaked them to where they looked right on there. I found this silhouette of a wine bottle on the internet, where she wanted it to be in place of the 6, and I put that into Word, and then I brought it over to my working piece and sized it and centered it. So much the same way, I found a C that looked fairly close to the script that was used on the piece that she sent me as an example. And little parts in here, I found ones that I thought matched fairly well. The C is a different size in the font than the rest of the name. So I blew that up, placed it, and then I put the Carlson, the rest of the name, the Carlson name in there. And it is not, if you looked at the picture closely, it's not even with the bottom of the first letter. So that's why this is all completely separate. And then it is brought up a little bit from the bottom. Because again, why would I want things to be easy? The EST and 2002 are also completely different font than what the Carlson is. And it is sized differently also. So I did that in Word, and then I brought that in on this piece. Once I got everything even and sized up, I took this and I shot it over to my client, and she let me know what tiny tweaks she wanted me to make, and I made those tweaks until it got just the way that she wanted it, and she okayed it for me. Once it was okayed, then it was time to move on. I put this into my Adobe PDF and blew it up. I believe I blew it up to 125%. It was big. It was 9 sheets of paper that I had to cut out and tape together. So I got everything lined up, taped up, cut out, and had a giant, giant clock. I took the little circle that was in the middle of the clock, found the exact center of that, and that's what I used to center it on this piece. So there was a small hole drilled here from when we routed. I used that as my center. I think the cat's trying to come up here now. I covered the front of this in white carbon paper that I had to specifically order for this project because I would not be able to see the black on the purple. So I got that white carbon paper all taped together, put down here, trimmed to size, and then I put my clock, my clock on top of it. Use that center circle on the clock and line it up with the center circle here from the router, and use the thumbtack to hold it in place. And once I got it all centered and lined up where it would look really good with the slats and, you know, certain markings that you couldn't change on here, got everything kind of put where it needed to be, I taped the heck out of it so it wouldn't move all around the edges. There are videos up on our YouTube, Instagram, Facebook of us doing this. They're in our YouTube shorts. This is just my in-depth video that I do after all of my big customs. So I got that on there. I spent a very long time tracing that out and checking it to make sure that it did transfer like it was supposed to. And then anywhere that I had taped little pieces of paper together, the carbon didn't transfer through, so when that came off, I had to hand draw those into place. And once everything looked great, then it was time to move this out to the wood shop again. So it went out to the wood shop, and I had to burn it. Now I have a coal wood burner. It's the Dual Pro, so I run 2 pins. I typically burn around a 5 or a 6 on my projects, but this hard old oak, I had to burn it hot. I needed to burn it in. It was a deep scorch that I was going for to kind of match that rustic look, and because a light scorch on the top would not have shown up. Any sanding I did after the burning would have just sanded right off. So I got this deep black by doing that deep scorch. I ran it on a 10, and that is as hot as the coal wood goes. I did have to wear a glove for all of the deep scorching on this because it was burning my fingers. Even though I have the heat block on my pin, it was still burning my fingers. So I was wearing a glove, and you can see that in those short videos. I started by outlining. It took me a couple of different tips to really find the one I wanted to do the outlining on the hash marks. I outlined all my hash marks first, and then I moved to my numbers, outlined those, and then I moved to the inside and I outlined the EST 2002. Now once those were all outlined, I went back and I did my initial scorch on those. And after my initial shading and scorching, then I moved to the name, the Carlson name here. And then I outlined all of that and then did the initial scorch on the middle of that. After my initial scorching was done, I did a sanding, a light hand sanding. I think I used 1000 grit for that to get off any over scorches that I didn't want and kind of clean up all my edges. And then I went back in and I did my my second shading, my second scorching to make sure everything was nice and even, that the charcoal wasn't flaky, just to kind of clean it up and make sure that that burn was just a nice burn all the way through, and it didn't waver any. So then I went back over it again with my 1000 grit and sanded off the scorch marks, and then this is where we were left. After everything, you know, and that took 7 hours for me to do all of that. It's a big piece. 7 hours. After that, it moved back in the house, and I took my tack cloth and I went over the whole thing front and back with my tack cloth to make sure that I got out any little bits of dust, any little bits of dirt, any of the charcoal charring that was just loose and left on it, because I didn't want that to smear across my piece once I put a finish on it. I got everything nice and cleaned up, and I started with the back of it with my finish. Now, I put Danish oil on this. I love Danish oil. It's a very nice finish. It has an oil in it that will soak into your wood and protect it from the inside. And it has a poly in it as well, a light coat of poly that will protect it from the outside. And it will still leave your piece feeling like wood. I really like that. It's not good for, say, a tabletop because it's not a heavy duty finish, but this is a clock. I like to use it on a lot of things that are going to not receive a lot of use, like handheld use. They're not going to receive abuse, and it's just a beautiful finish for that. If this clock is being put through abuse, I would say that that's not the fault of the finish. Danish oil is a perfectly fine finish for this. after I got my Danish oil on there, which I did use the Danco light walnut, because I wanted to bring back the deep purple that was originally on it before the sanding started, because once the sanding started, it did lighten it up a little bit to more of a light purple, like an eggplant purple, and I wanted that deep wet wine look to come back, so that's why I used the light walnut on there, and it did a great job, and did a great job bringing out the grain on that tiger grain on the back of the wood. Just beautiful. I didn't stop there though. I did find a matte wax that's fairly easy to use. Most of the waxes I work with, hard waxes, most of those hard waxes I work with are shiny, especially on 320. You hand buff those and they look like a mirror and they feel like glass. And although that's beautiful, that is not what this rustic piece was screaming for. So I used this spray on. It's you shake it up, you pump spray it on, you get it on there nice and solid. You use a cloth to just make sure you spread it even, and once it's even, you let it sit for an hour, and it's good. Now you can put on as many coats as you want. I did 3 coats front and 3 coats back on this, just to get it nice and protected. Now it still feels like wood, but it's nice and smooth. Really nice looking finish that came out on this, and I'm really happy I found that. I can't off the top of my head right now remember the name of the wax. I will put that in the comments, so if you're interested, take a look at my comments, and you can see the type of wax that I used. So, and I did need to mention, I waited 72 hours between putting the Danish oil on and putting the wax on. So I let it cure, that Danish oil cure for 72 hours before I put the wax on. You absolutely do not need to top coat Danish oil. It's perfectly fine to not top coat it because it does have that poly in it. It is protected. I just like the look of wax over it, and that's why I did it. It adds that additional layer of protection, and to me, I like the way it looks. So that's why I put that on there. So don't come for me in the comments saying I didn't need to do it. I just like the way I like the way it turns out. So that's my preference when I'm dealing with Danish oil, especially on my larger show pieces. What else? I think that's about it. We put these hands on there. I've never worked with Clockworks before. I'm really happy I found these on Bear Woods. They have a lot of great tutorials on there that will tell people like me how to figure out what movement you need and what size of things you need, and then how to put it together once you actually get it, and how to troubleshoot it if you're having issues with it. These are great, and these are keeping time perfect. Love these hands. That's bearwoods.com. Again, they're out of Canada, and I really wanted to support their mission, so I wanted to give them a mention here. I am not paid for this. They did not send me this for free. We bought this with our own money. We just really enjoy their products, and they carry a lot of the other things that we use too, so I may be going back for some of those things. But as far as clock movements and hands, this is probably where I will be going. They just have really nice quality products, and it is spelt out for people like me. Exactly what I needed to get. That is all I can think of to tell you about this amazing clock. She wanted that 12, that 9, that 3, that wine bottle. She wanted it on the diagonal. She wanted that name and the EST 2002. I really think we delivered on this. This client is a very good friend of ours, has been a friend for a number of years, and I cannot wait to give this to her. I think it's going to be gifted, and I just hope that it's going to be gifted by her to another close friend of hers, and I really hope she's as happy with it as we are, because I really think we delivered on this one. Again, you can find us on Facebook at U-U Works LLC, YouTube, looks like you found us, and Instagram at UU Works LLC. Don't be afraid to ask questions. We love to answer questions. We love visitors to our site, and you can see our products at www.u-uworks.org, and we like visitors to that site too. So give us some likes, give us some subscribes, hop on our site, join our email list, keep up with us, see where we're going, because I hope we're going places. Thank you again for watching our video. and we will see you later.